Hey everyone, welcome to the PCS-Proof Podcast, where we're covering the vital things you need to know to thrive in every season of military life. I'm your host and milspouse fitness expert, Grace Barnick-Damazo, and I encourage you to join me each week as we dive deep into topics like fitness, wellness, and entrepreneurship as a military spouse so that you can maintain your own sense of identity and purpose, conquering every transition with strength and resilience. As we journey together, you can expect uplifting conversations and insights. We'll share some laughs, and you can count on me to keep it real so that together we can become truly PCS-proof. Now let's get into it. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am so glad that you're here as we dive into episode 2 of our New Year's series, where I'm sharing my best practices for achieving your sustainable fitness goals this year. In last week's episode, I shared my professional argument for why one of the key elements for sustainable fitness success this year is not to chase the next exciting, trendy thing. Instead, lean into the principle that boring is actually better. Sustainable fitness success is found in the small, consistent, unflashy habits that we can do every single day. So if you haven't already listened to that episode, I highly encourage you to give it a listen right after this one. It could completely change how you approach your health and fitness goals, not just for your resolutions, but for all of your efforts. And it will probably eliminate a lot of stress and frustrations that you might be having once you're no longer having to constantly reinvent the wheel. And it will probably prevent burnout. And we've all got, considering everything that's going on in the world right now, we have enough on our plates. We've got a lot that we're dealing with. So any keys or tips that I can give you to reduce burnout, increase your willpower, I'm going to share those with you. So today we're going to tackle one of the biggest reasons why most New Year's resolutions fail. But again, this is one piece in a series of episodes that I'm going to be covering, and I'm going to be sharing my best practices to help you finally stick to your fitness resolutions this year and every year. So if you're not already subscribed to the PCS-Proof Podcast, this would be the perfect time to get subscribed because I don't want you to miss any of this series. It's going to be so actionable, and it's actually going to make your life easier and your goal achievement easier. I'm here to cut through all that crap that's swirling around right now about New Year's resolutions and give you the principles that have already been proven to work. So let's take a moment to get subscribed, and then let's dive in. Here's a crazy stat for you. Did you know that 35% of people who make New Year's resolutions give up on them because the goals that they set are simply impossible to sustain? They set themselves up for failure before they even start. That's crazy, right? More than 30% of people set themselves up for failure before they even get started working on the resolutions. And that's not completely their fault. Most people have never actually been taught how to design successful goals. And it's no wonder that without fail, every single January, the gyms are packed, but by February, they're practically empty again. I have friends that are in the industry, and I see them posting already being in kind of like the bigger box gyms, not the private gyms so much, but the bigger box gyms are already like thinning out. So you see it every single year, this trend happening. And if you're like me, a military spouse juggling all these moving parts, I could tell you in another time, in a different way, all the crap that's happening in our lives right now. And I'm sure you guys are dealing with similar things. Or if you're an active duty service member who's balancing mission readiness with your self-care, you know how easy it is to dream big, but then struggle to keep that momentum when life's challenges or the military life challenges start to creep in. And I mean, we're talking about New Year's resolutions right now because that's the time that we're in, but we could easily imagine that the same conversation, the same thing applies to the goals that we set for ourselves at the beginning of a deployment, right? We set these big goals for ourselves of all these things that we want to accomplish while we're out on deployment or while our partner is out on deployment. And then we beat ourselves up when the deployment ends and we're in the exact same place as where we started. So today we're going to talk about why setting realistic goals and action steps is the key to not just starting strong and setting yourself up for success, but also staying consistent with your New Year's resolutions and can and should be applied all year long. Let's start with the allure of those big, shiny goals, those big, shiny resolutions like I'm going to lose 30 pounds in the next 3 months, or I'm going to work out every single day this year without fail, or I'm going to run 3 miles every single day. These kinds of goals feel so inspiring in the moment, don't they? I mean, I get it. I understand the allure of them. It would be so cool to be able to say, I ran 3 miles every single day in the year 2025. What a cool accomplishment. But they can set us up for disappointment because they are either, one, they're an outcome goal only, right? Outcome goals are great, but they require process goals in order to have a predictable result. Something like I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 3 months. It's an outcome goal. But an outcome goal without processes, without process goals, are just wishful thinking. You're putting it out to the universe and just hoping for it to come true, right? You might as well just wish for disappointment in that case. Or two, they don't account for life's curveballs. They require a level of perfection or a level of discipline that leaves no room for real life. And if you're a military spouse, you know those curveballs might look like an unexpected TDY, a last-minute deployment, a last-minute change of orders, and now you're moving, or just the chaos of juggling your kids' activities while holding down the home front. And then also, when we aim for perfection, we're more likely to feel defeated when we inevitably miss the mark. That one missed workout or off-planned meal snowballs into self-doubt, and then suddenly we're feeling like we have to give up altogether, right? I'm sure you've experienced that or something like that before, that feeling of disappointment when you can't check something off or you missed a day, something happened, you got sick even. Or three, they might be straight up unhealthy and cause more harm than good in the process. I mean, losing 30 pounds in 3 months is a big goal that sometimes people put the goal in front of their own health. It's so important to them to hit that goal that they will do anything necessary in order to accomplish it, even putting their own health and long-term health at risk in order to do that. So I understand the allure. I get it. I want you to know that I want to hold space for you if you are someone who likes to make these big goals. I understand, okay? But let's start to think about ways to break those down into more realistic goals in order to set yourself up for success. That's my only point out of this, is I want you to be successful. That is my intention and my goal for you. So let's just take a moment, let's flip the script on this and think about what could happen when we set realistic goals. Yes, they might not have as much appeal, but let's just take a moment and explore this avenue for just a moment, all right? So instead of I'm going to work out 7 days a week, you might want to consider committing to 3 days a week of strength training and one long walk or a yoga session or a play date with the kids. Right? So instead of setting that I'm going to work out 7 days a week for the entire month or the next 3 months, maybe backing off a little bit and thinking about what is actually realistic in my life. And when you hit that achievable target, what's going to happen is it's going to help build your confidence. And confidence fuels motivation, and motivation fuels momentum. And we call this the competence-confidence loop, When you feel like you are building competency, that you feel competent in a skill, that makes you feel more confident and more likely to want to do it again. We're building momentum. And when you feel more confident that you're going to be able to do that thing long term, it builds your competence. I feel more skilled at that. It's becoming more of a habit. It's easier for me to do. I am now more competent in that skill. And that breeds confidence. You can see what I'm saying is we want to start the competence confidence loop. And we do that not by setting goals that are going to be so hard to attain, but by setting goals that are easy to attain so that we can start that loop. And here's the best part. You can adjust as you go. Maybe you start with just 2 or 3 workouts. I know you want 5 or 7, but you start with 2 or 3 workouts and you work up slowly and consistently to your desired 5 or 7 over time. It's about creating this rhythm that fits your life and not fighting against your current state of life. Remember, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And also, you are the only one in control of how you accomplish these goals. You are the one that gets to dictate how you do this. You are also the only person who's going to hold yourself back from achieving success. So do not feel like you're needing to put these outside pressures on yourself that I have to hit every single workout, that I have to set these audacious goals, all of that. It's your journey. You have complete autonomy over how you accomplish it. So it has to work for you. Don't let other people tell you how it's supposed to work. All right. So that's just my little reminder for you. And listen, you might be thinking, Grace, I know all this. Duh. Set realistic goals. We've all heard of SMART goals, right? Like, I get it. But I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't hear this from 95% of the women who reach out to me to help them achieve their fitness goals. It's not just a statistic that I'm sharing with you. I hear these unrealistic goals all the time. So even if it sounds like a no-brainer to you, everything I'm saying sounds so trite, like I've heard all this before, it is so ingrained in our high achiever culture to set our bars impossibly high for ourselves. And if you're listening to this podcast, I know you're serious about setting big goals for yourself and setting yourself up for success. And I want to give you the information and the tools that you need to do that. And giving yourself a little humility check and being a little bit more realistic about what you can commit to is going to be the key thing for you. It's the key takeaway that I want you to hear from me today. I'm not trying to hold you back. I'm trying to set yourself up for success, and so much success, more success than you've ever had before. So I'm here to empower you to succeed this year and for the rest of your life. Another benefit of realistic goals is that they shift the focus from perfection to progress. We've talked about this before, way back in episode 9. You may want to go back and listen to that as well after this episode. When you stop chasing some idealized version of fitness and start celebrating small wins, you feel a sense of accomplishment that keeps you going. We love to see progress, right? That is really motivating. Did you squeeze in a 15-minute workout between meetings and school pickups today? I want you to celebrate that. Did you drink more water today than you did yesterday? That's a win too. Celebrate it. Progress might not feel glamorous, but it's what leads to lasting results. We talked about this last week. I want you to remember that best practice that we talked about, boring is better. Just because it's not an Instagram-worthy accomplishment, a PR, something like that, it doesn't mean it's not progress. Because boring, remember, gets results. And that's what we should really care about, right? We shouldn't care about, is it super exciting or monumental? No, we care about it getting us results. So that's what we should be celebrating. Celebrate the progress, not being perfect. And let's finally talk about sustainability. For military spouses and for service members in particular, life is already so unpredictable. Adding unsustainable habits to the mix only is going to create more stress, and we cannot afford to be taking on more stress. Realistic goals, however, let you adapt to life's demands without completely derailing your progress. So, for example, if your spouse gets orders to PCS, you might not have the bandwidth for an hour-long workout every single day. You might not have the bandwidth to be able to go out and run those 3 miles every single day. You might not even have the possibility because you're having to stay at the house while you're doing your pack out, right? But you could stick to 15 to 20 minutes of bodyweight exercises in your living room, probably, right? And while you might not be able to stick to a strict meal plan and weekly meal prep, this perfect idea of what you want your meal prep to look like because you're unexpectedly living out of a hotel room for 10 weeks straight, has happened to me before, you can still focus on easy protein options and adding a side of veggies to your meals when you're eating out, right? So these are all really simple and effective ways to still make progress by setting yourself up for success through realistic goal setting. Sustainable habits aren't about doing more. They're about doing what works for you consistently, no matter where you are or what's on your plate. Remember, we want to start that competence, confidence loop, and that's why we set realistic goals. So here's the bottom line. Unrealistic goals can set us back. Can and will set us back. They set us up for frustration, discouragement, and more often than not, feelings of failure. But realistic goals set us up for long-term success and feelings of empowerment and confidence and competence. As we move through this year, let's commit to being consistent, celebrating small wins, and creating fitness habits that actually fit our lives. Now it's your turn to take this information and put it into action. Our second best practice for goal achievement. Take a moment today and reflect on your fitness goals for this year. Are they truly realistic for you and your life right now? Do they fit into the season of military life that you're living right now? If not, don't worry, it's not too late to adjust. Remember, you're in control of the situation. Honestly, it's really never too late to adjust, even once you start. But it's great that you're listening to this right now so we can make our adjustments early in the year. I've actually put together a free guide to help you to set realistic goals and create a simple action plan to track your progress and celebrate your milestones along the way. And you can grab it. I'm going to put the link in the show notes so you can grab that there. It's completely free. And don't forget to share your goals and your progress with me on Instagram. My handle is @GraceBFitness, and I would just love to cheer you on. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this. You are capable of such amazing things. I have every confidence that you can achieve your biggest, most audacious, life-changing goals. In fact, I want you to dream big. But just remember that the path to lasting change is built on small, consistent steps, not giant leaps. By setting realistic goals and celebrating your progress, focusing on sustainability, you'll not only achieve those fitness dreams, but you'll create habits that really stick for your life and will ultimately lead you to achieving your biggest goals, bigger than you could even imagine for yourself now. I want to thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and your busy life to invest in yourself, invest in your future, and invest in your dreams. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a fellow military spouse or someone in your life who could use some encouragement. Maybe they've expressed their big goals for this year, and you want to help set themselves up for success. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, where we'll dive into another key sustainable goal achievement best practice. Until then, keep showing up for yourself. You and your goals are worth it. And remember, no matter where in the world military life sends you, together we are PCS-Proof. Adios.
And here is the legal language. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to replace professional advice. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or fitpathcoaching.com. Moreover, we are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast.